This woman literally chained my driveway shut and told me I was trespassing on my own family's land. Worst mistake of her life. I'd been gone 3 years and came home to find steel chains and a private community sign blocking the mountain road my great-grandfather built in 1923. But here's what blew my mind. While I was away, 8 multi-million-dollar mansions had sprouted like weeds in my pristine valley. The crunch of gravel under my boots should have felt like home, but the crisp pine air I'd been dreaming of was choked out by the cloying scent of designer perfume. Out of a white Range Rover stepped Cassandra Whitmore, blonde bob sharp as glass, clipboard in hand, and an attitude colder than ice. Well, the hermit returns, she sneered. This is private property now, and you're trespassing. I kept my voice steady. Ma'am, that's my cabin up there. My family's owned this land since 1923. Her smile could have frozen lava. Not anymore, it isn't. What she didn't know was that I didn't just own that century-old cabin. I owned the mineral rights under every one of her precious mansions. My name's Jack Harlan, Hark to anyone not trying to serve me legal papers. I'm 48, spent most of my life on oil rigs from Texas to North Dakota. That kind of work stains your hands black and wrecks your back by 40. But it paid the bills, especially when I was covering my mother's Alzheimer's care until she passed 6 months ago. With her gone, I came home hoping for peace. Instead, I found a valley transformed into something that looked like a luxury magazine's fever dream. Where wildflowers once bloomed, there were chemically perfect lawns. 8 glass and steel boxes now scarred the landscape. And ruling it all was Cassandra Whitmore, self-crowned queen of Granite Ridge Estates. At 54, she had the real estate swagger, money, and connections to bully her way into power. Word was she'd swooped in through shell companies and bought up land like a card shark, then declared herself HOA president. She handed me a manila envelope thicker than a phone book, 47 violation notices. For my family's cabin. Non-compliant roof color, my grandfather's cedar shingles. Unauthorized outbuildings, a 1920s root cellar that kept us alive during the Depression. Landscaping. Violations, as if God's own wildflowers needed her approval. Total fines, $73,500 plus $500 a day. But the worst part wasn't the money. It was the way she said certain types, her nose wrinkling at. The smell of honest labor, her digs about transient lifestyles. This woman had never broken a sweat in her life, but somehow I was the blight threatening her property values. The paperwork gave me 30 days, pay or face foreclosure. That night, I drove my rusted F-250 to the county courthouse. Martha Caldwell, clerk since the Carter years, greeted me with warmth but also warning. Jack Harlan, sorry about your mama. But son, a lot of politics around that development. She showed me the HOA covenant filings. Rushed, sloppy, and most important, my signature was nowhere. In Colorado, covenants require unanimous consent. They had no legal hold on me. But that didn't stop Cassandra. A week later, she rolled up my driveway with 2 BMWs full of clipboard warriors, calling themselves the Architectural Compliance Committee. They started snapping pictures of my cabin, truck, even my woodpile. I told her flat out, this is private property. Section 4.7 of covenants doesn't apply here. Get off my land. Her face went scarlet. You'll regret this. We have ways of dealing with troublemakers. The next morning, my mailbox exploded with 14 new violation notices, everything from my outhouse to my firewood stack. But when I looked closer, I smiled. The photo timestamps were 3 days older than their so-called inspection. Proof of trespassing. So I bought 6 trail cameras with night vision and audio. Within 48 hours, jackpot, Cassandra and her cronies creeping around at dawn, plotting how to stack violations, and even suggesting filing fake environmental complaints. I handed that evidence straight to Earl Simmons, county health inspector. Sure enough, 2 days later, Earl showed up embarrassed. Jack, we got a complaint your septic's leaking into the groundwater. I told him, test away. His results? Cleaner than most brand new systems. Then I gave him the USB drive of Cassandra's scheming. Earl's eyes nearly popped. Soon the harassment escalated. Anonymous complaints, news crews, inspectors swarming my land. But every test proved my cabin was rock solid and Cassandra's reports were lies. I flipped the script by suggesting they check the runoff from the new mansions. That got their attention. Then came the legal hammer, a $250,000 demand letter from Whitmore and Gray LLP, a Denver law firm whose senior partner, no surprise, was Cassandra's husband. They claimed my noncompliance hurt property values. Only problem? Their lawsuit claimed damages from January, months before I even returned to Colorado. Amateur hour. I dug deeper. Cassandra had pulled this scam in Texas, Florida, and Arizona. Harass holdouts, force sales, flip properties for millions. But here she missed one thing: mineral rights. My great-grandfather's 1923 patent included rights under 1,200 acres, the entire valley. That meant every mansion sat on land I controlled under federal law. Even their permits were invalid, since they never notified the mineral rights holder. I hired Roxanne Hale, a sharp property rights attorney. Her team confirmed everything: the mineral rights, the illegal permits, and $2 million embezzled from HOA funds into Cassandra's shell companies. They looped in the FBI, who'd been tracking similar scams across states. The next weeks were a blur. Injunctions freezing the HOA, federal subpoenas, homeowners learning their titles were clouded. Cassandra doubled down, cutting my power, hiring arsonists, even trying to flee with $3 million in cash. The feds caught her at the airport. When the dust settled, federal prosecutors charged Cassandra, her husband, and a dozen co-conspirators with racketeering, fraud, and conspiracy. At trial, the evidence was overwhelming. My trail cams, financial records, witness testimony, and the mineral rights documents that trumped every one of her claims. The judge's sentence was clear: 25 years in federal prison, $69 million restitution, and complete asset forfeiture. Watching Cassandra led away in cuffs, screaming about conspiracies, was the sweetest victory I've ever tasted. 6 months later, the valley is healing. The EPA restored the meadows, the mansions were retrofitted with sustainable systems, and a new voluntary association runs with transparency instead of tyranny. We even set up the Granite Ridge Community Foundation using seized assets to fund scholarships, conservation projects, and a veterans retreat at my cabin. Now, every morning I sip coffee on my porch while wildflowers bloom again. My neighbor, Silas Harding, joins me for victory breakfast, grinning like a kid. The county commissioner who enabled Cassandra is serving 8 years. Her husband got 12. Cassandra herself works laundry duty in prison. Ironic for someone who once ordered everyone around. And me? I'm at peace. The land my family homesteaded a century ago is safe, stronger than ever, and protected for generations to come. Bullies like Cassandra thought they could rewrite history with money and paper. But in the end, the law was on my side. And so was the mountain. Justice served mountain style.